Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Financially Free Journey. This is Courtney, your host. Welcome back to another episode. And I am so excited today. I have a special guest with me. Dawn, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
No, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
This has been a long time in the making, guys. Dawn and I started emailing back and forth for him to come onto the show over a year ago. And can I blame the pandemic, Dawn? Is that okay? It was nothing else.
Right on.
It was solely the pandemic's fault. But we made it happen. And I am so excited because Dawn has so many notches in his belt. As I just said at the beginning of the episode, reading his short bio, he has tremendous amounts of experience and knowledge when it comes to the financial industry. He's worked on qualified accounts, customer facing, and now behind the scenes, and really specializes in behavioral finance. And so, Dawn, tell the listeners a little bit about your background, first of all, and what it is that you're doing now.
Sure. Got into the business actually in your same position, dealing with wealth management, and transitioned over to the education on the 401k side, so retirement plans, and working client facing for all the participants, educating them on what direction they need to take in order to use their 401k appropriately to get that financial independence. And it's funny because over my tenure, we have turned from the idea of retirement into financial independence. And that is the definition of retiring early. So that was my process, is learning how to best utilize the tools that are given. And so these 401ks were, in my opinion, the absolute best way for the normal person to get to financial independence. Studying and working with individuals, I learned that their behavior had everything to do with their success or failure.
Everything.
Every decision you make has just the butterfly effect when it comes to finances. And so I got my BFA, Behavioral Financial Advisor, and it really kind of solidified my prowess of behavioral finance, and it gave me some statistics. As an example, 87%, this is according to Kaplan, 87% of a person's net worth is determined by their behavior. 87%. So what's funny is that, you and I, we always chat with folks, and all they want to know is, well, what investment should I get into? And should I be buying stocks? Should I be buying bonds? Well, that's only 13% of the discussion. That's only,
and that's the $1 million question.
Right.
That's what they always want to know. It's the $1 million question. Absolutely.
And the irony is that it's irrelevant. It's only worth 13%.
Right.
I always joke with folks, let's be real. I was a B student at best. And so if I got an 87% on my finances, oh man, I'm pumped. Right? That's a B plus. So if I get a B plus,
passing.
Right. So all you have to do is control your behavior, and that will give you a way better chance at success in finance. And so once I learned all of this, then I said, well, what's the best way to nudge these participants on the grand level? And that's when I went behind the scenes and started building 401k plans to nudge participants to make the right decisions and control that 87% without them even knowing it. So, it's an aspect of a libertarian paternalism, point. But you incorporate things like auto enrollment, you incorporate things like auto escalate, and you make sure that they have the best QDIA possible.
Okay, so for our listeners that don't understand Qdi Auto Enrollment, go ahead and expand on that just a little bit for the listener that needs that simplified a little bit. What does that mean exactly?
Sure. As a general participant of a 401k plan, hopefully you actually all you had to do was get employed. Because if all you had to do was get employed and then they automatically started contributing to your 401k, that is called auto enrollment. Sadly, this is somewhat new. and it didn't used to be a thing that was super common. It is becoming more and more common because of the behavioral aspect of how powerful it is. The studies show that if you are not automatically enrolled in the 401k, there is actually a 70% chance that you will not enroll in the plan, which is not okay, considering 401ks are, generally speaking, the average person's way to financial independence. So auto enrollment is a feature of a 401k plan that automatically has every employee starting to invest in that plan. Auto escalate is if you are just a default employee, right? And you get in there, usually it's about a 3% contribution and a 2% match, or 5% total contribution. And an auto escalate automatically escalates over the course of time, usually 1% per year, up to 10%. So if you just go work for a company and never do anything, you end up with a total contribution of 10% after 7 years. And that 10% plus the 2% match, that's a 12% contribution. Statistically speaking, that'll get you there after you work for a very, very long time. But this is, again, one of those behavioral concepts. It says, hey, if you choose to do nothing, then this will take care of you over the long run if you plan on working from, age 20 to 70, we'll call it.
Right.
And so
when you think about the average working American adult and the qualified plans that they have available to them, a 401k absolutely represents a large percentage of what's available to American working adults. And not knowing things like auto escalating, auto enrollment, and a lot of companies don't do that. That's not a standard across the industry. So understanding the options when you initially start with a company, when are you eligible to start in, contributing to that 401k? That's a great question to ask. Will they auto enroll you? What's the contribution that the company will be? What's their match? There's a lot of really good questions because this is the number one way for most individuals, as you said, to reach financial independence and to set themselves up for success when it comes to retirement.
Absolutely. And that's why I became so passionate about those 401ks, because just like you said, I mean, the average person is not going to walk into their broker's, their office and say, so what do I need to do at the time they need to do it? The average person doesn't think about that until they're close to 50. And at that time, well, there's not a lot that we can do. And so we need to backtrack. And so that's, again, why the tool, the 401k tool, is such a powerful tool. And when you are 20 years old and you're getting your first job, it is not top of mind to ask these questions, these super powerful, appropriate questions. And that is why I went into the back side of everything, because I understand if I force a 20-year-old to invest and escalate, I change their life, right? So, and that was the biggest part of my decision to go to a behaviorist architect at KISC, because that helps me help more people.
Absolutely. And as you said, most young adults that are starting their first job, they don't know what they don't know. And our financial education within our public education system in this country is almost non-existent. So most of us are graduating high school without a basic understanding of money and investing and how to build wealth and plan for our retirement. And most individuals have a preconceived notion. I've heard this from a lot of my listeners, from clients over the years, that I'm not eligible to invest. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not a millionaire, right? So I shouldn't be investing my money. I need to wait till I make 6 figures a year. I need to wait till I pay down my debt, whatever their preconceived idea is. And so a lot of people will put it off, including contributing to their 401k. But it's such an issue in our country because you see statistics like most Americans, around 70%, have less than $1,000 to their name in case of emergencies, and contributions to 401ks are nowhere where they need to be. And so being on the backside of these plans and these 401k systems, what is some behaviors that you see that are pitfalls of individuals, and how are you helping them, fix that on the backside?
I would say, again, to reiterate that 87%, right? And so what the most important part of setting yourself up for success in a 401k environment is set it and forget it. And I know we hear that all the time. And when we have the Teslas skyrocketing and the Bitcoins going crazy and the GameStop's catching the news, fear of missing out goes crazy. And everybody thinks, oh, well, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Well, coulda, shoulda, woulda was something other than your 401k. Promise me that. Because 87% of your portfolio is going to be determined by your behavior, which means have the right behavior, make the right decisions, and then never make another decision. Don't put behavior into it.
It's setting a good foundation for your investment journey, right? So I like to call it safeguards, but how can you auto deduct from your paycheck? How can you, as you said, set it and forget it? There's multiple ways that you can do it to make sure that you're not tempted to tap into the money and to really set an appropriate amount. And for example, a great practice that a lot of people do is every time you get a raise to barely keep up with inflation, take that raise at 1%, 2%, 3%, and increase your 401k contribution. When you set it and forget it and you're not used to the money in your account, again, the behavior and the psychology behind investing and saving for your future, you're going to set yourself up for success.
Absolutely. And another aspect is, statistics show and behavior shows that a loss hits you twice as hard as a gain. In other words, if you have a 3% loss, then it's going to feel like a 6% gain. And how often do we have substantially more than 3% losses? Often. There are crises all the time. And so the key to the 401k is to get rid of the myopic mindset, right? You are investing for not today, but you're investing for 30 years from now. And 30 years from now, whatever price the S&P 500 is, do you believe it's going to be less or more? It doesn't matter where the S&P 500 goes from today until 30 years from now when it matters to you. So that's the only thing that you should be thinking about as you are investing in your 401k plan is this anti-myopic, anti-behavioral concept of I'm investing for 30 years from now, so none of it matters today.
Well, we are a generation, and I say we as in millennials and Gen Z, we are a generation of instant gratification. And when you're investing in a 401k, it's for your long-term goals. And so I think it's critical behaviorally and psychology speaking for individuals to understand what their goals are, not just short term, but long term. What are they saving for? What does their retirement look like? How much money do they need to have to support that vision and that dream for their retirement? And if they have a well-defined goal and a smart, actionable plan to achieve it, then you're much more likely to stick to the behaviors that are necessary in order to achieve that goal. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. And I think an aspect of an antidote to this myopic mindset is I encourage people to go get a small brokerage account, right? Go out there and find that Fidelity account, find that Schwab account, whatever, and go try your luck with Bitcoin. Go try your luck. I mean, nobody can afford a Bitcoin anymore, but go try your luck.
1/200th of a Bitcoin.
Right. But try your luck. And legitimately, I do consider it the Wall Street casino. I have lots of friends that we all talk back and forth about all their wonderful trades and everything. And they ask, oh, well, how did you do last year? I say, well, how did the S&P 500 do? Oh, it was actually awesome. Oh, I did great. That's good to hear.
And that's exactly how I did. That was my return.
Right.
I actually had a lot of questions. I had just posted this TikTok video about compounding interest, and I gave an example of an 18-year-old that invested $300 a month for 8 years with an average market return of 10%, by the time they're ready to retire, they would have $1.8 million, theoretically speaking, if they participated in the overall market growth. And what was interesting to me, that a lot of the individuals that watched the video and commented on it had a lot of questions about how the mechanics of that worked exactly. And I got a lot of questions on, well, tell me what to invest in. What are you talking about when you say participating in the overall market growth? So can you go into just generally speaking, what do we mean when we're talking about the S&P 500 participating in overall market growth?
Sure. And clearly, I didn't invent this wheel. As a matter of fact, I learned way early on from Warren Buffett himself. And if you actually listen to what Warren Buffett says, he doesn't even tell the average person to invest with him. He tells the average investor to invest in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is a mix of 500 U.S. stocks, and it is not necessarily the largest cap. However, it's become mainly the largest cap, but you end up with 500 U.S. companies, domestic U.S. companies, and you invest in that, and it is not managed. Therefore, your expense ratios are extremely low. And if you look at the Markowitz theory says that any active investor will undoubtedly underperform the market by their fees charged if they are in a perfectly efficient market. And so the question is, okay, how efficient are we? Yeah, when you look up SPIVA, S&P versus active, the S&P 500 outperforms 80, sometimes 80% of the active managers over a 5-year period. I think currently it's like 72% over a 5-year period.
Well, you mentioned the Markowitz theory, and you think about the efficient, market portfolio horizon, and are we taking the appropriate amount of risk for the appropriate amount of reward? And when you think about people going out and wanting to invest in things like GameStop, AMC, for example, Bitcoin, are you taking the appropriate amount of risk for the reward that you're expecting to get? And so, as you said, it's debatable, I guess, depending on what theory you believe in. But when you think about passive versus active investment, most times the passive investment portfolios will outperform an active portfolio, hands down.
Right, especially over the long term.
Right.
And again, that's such a behavioral concept that nobody puts into perspective, because long term is anti-behavior. as you said earlier, we are all myopic in our thinking because I want it now, instant gratification, right? And especially when we get hit with this news on a daily basis of like, oh, this stock did this and this stock did that, and well, I wish I would have been a part of that. How come I missed this? Like, who are these people that are getting involved in all of these things? And it is so difficult, but you just have to turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I shared with Don before we started recording, guys, that we were talking about our investment strategies, and I said I do have a little account that I like to gamble some money in, and it's an account that I trade some small cap stocks in, just doing some swing trades and stuff. But it really is where you have to be comfortable with the fact that you could lose it all when you are actively trading stocks in a portfolio. And so, if you want to plan for retirement and you want to have a sure bet, I definitely look at long-term time horizon, passive investment through things like your 401k. And also, you have to take into consideration, and Don, I'm sure you agree, that it's not just the return that you're getting in your 401k, but it's also the tax liability that you're alleviating yourself from, whether you're doing Roth or traditional. But if you need to look at your tax bill and lowering that, you can do a traditional contribution. You can set yourself up to have tax-free income in retirement by contributing into a Roth 401k. And so there's multiple benefits outside of just the gain that you're receiving in the market by investing in a qualified account.
Absolutely. And hopefully you never end up in a situation where creditors come after you. But that is also another huge aspect is that if you have to file bankruptcy, if you get sued, if you lose a lawsuit, 401ks are a protected asset. And for us layman people that can't afford ridiculously expensive estate attorneys, that is the best estate plan out there, I'll tell you.
Wow. It's such a great point for people to think. And, you may not be in that situation now and you may not think that pertains to you, but you never know what the future brings, especially as your income rises, your assets increase, you go through marriages or starting jobs, selling company. You never know what's going to happen. And so understanding the protection that it provides is also a really critical aspect to contributing your money into a 401k.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the top behaviors that drive success when it comes to people building wealth in their 401k? I know we talked about the set it and forget it. What are some additional behaviors that you would tell the listeners to absolutely think about engaging in when it comes to their qualified account?
One of the aspects that, and this is back when I was client facing, that we would talk about all the time is, okay, how much should I contribute to the 401k, for instance? Well, you should contribute everything you possibly can. It's that easy of an answer. Well, I can't. Well, no, you can. There is a certain amount that you possibly can. And so then therefore that is the answer. And I think what it comes down to is budgeting and understanding that as soon as you hit that maximum, as soon as you start maxing out that 401k on an annual basis, a weight is lifted off of your shoulders. So again, it's an aspect of behavior because you end up rewarding yourself psychologically hugely as soon as you start maxing out your 401k. So even if you make $45,000 a year, okay, tighten that belt, figure it out. Okay, you can do it, I promise, because I did. I used to max out my 401k. The first time I maxed out my 401k, I made less than $40,000, and it was $15,500 to
That's
max
fantastic.
out the 401k. It was
if you can do it on 45,000 and you can contribute 15, then anybody can, right?
Absolutely. Now, granted, I didn't have kids, I didn't have a family, and so these expenses start to ride on you. However, the contribution, again, that's part of that behavior. Contribution is everything. Okay. Do not worry about the investments. Do not worry about anything. The only thing that you should be worrying about is how can I put more into that particular account? And then when the markets tank, understand and buy into the concept that you're buying more. I know that sounds really difficult because if you have a decent balance, say you have $100,000 in your 401k and it just turned into 80 or even 70, okay, it's tough to think, oh, this is good for me. No, but I promise it is. and again, this is a behavioral aspect that all you need to do, the only thing that you need to focus on when you look at your 401k is you. Start looking in the mirror. Don't look at the fine print. Don't look at the 401k. Don't look at the investments. Simply look at you. Turn the mirror around.
Absolutely. Well, and you know what? A lot of people don't think about this concept. When you go to buy something that you've been wanting to get at the store and it's on sale, yeah, you're going to go and you're going to buy it at a discount. But when the stock market starts going down, that's when a lot of people just start panic selling, right? Not contributing into the account, holding on to their cash, hoarding their cash. But really, that's the time to buy. You're buying at a discount. And when you look at the average market return over the past however many years, 100 years, it's cyclical. It goes up and it goes down. And so understanding that premise when it comes to buying more, when the stock market is down, you're getting more bang for your buck. And so that's the time to up your contributions.
Right. And no matter how much you learn and try to teach yourself, this is why it's so important to do the passive investing. I give an example of myself, right? I love Amazon. I always have loved Amazon. I love Costco. I always have loved Costco. And I remember Costco, I don't even know what it's trading at now, but it was trading at like $100 like 15 years ago. And I couldn't do it because it was too expensive, right? So no matter how you how much I train myself and I do everything. I mean, we are human beings. We have behavior. And if you allow your behavior, in other words, if you act in any way, shape, or form, your behavior is going to negatively affect your investment portfolio. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And so that's why it is the most emotionally wicking concepts are that of stop. Don't do anything, okay? Set your plan in motion.
Don't do anything.
Max out your 401k and never look back, right? Don't even open your statements. It's not worth anything. Okay? Yeah. The only reason why you should open your statements is when the bank wants to know how much assets you have so you can buy your dream home.
Great point. It's, again, set it and forget it. You don't need to check on it every day. A lot of times it's check on it maybe annually, looking at the account balance and seeing how you performed, see if you need to maybe make some adjustments on the aggressiveness of your portfolio, right? Maybe your weight in stocks versus bonds, depending on your age and how close you are to retirement. But that's about it. It's not something that you actively look at every day, like your bank account or, trading small stocks. And, when you're buying GameStop, you need to be on it all day long. So Don, what is your number one piece of advice when it comes to preparing for retirement, or as we like to call it now, financial independence, that you've received and you've seen work time and time again?
Again, so this is a little bit off topic because I'm all about being financially free. And so again, behavior comes into play, but behavior also comes into expenses. Okay. So when it comes to investing, okay, keep it simple. Do everything that you possibly can to max out your 401k and keep it in the QDIA, or in other words, a target date or something along those lines. And then you're done with that whole concept. And then it comes down to spending. Okay. You have to control your outgoings, because here's the deal, is that every time you get a raise, did you notice that your bills add up to precisely what your raise is, no matter how big or actually small? I mean, I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, they increased the taxes, and yet somehow we didn't feel it. We didn't also feel the decrease of taxes. And so that, again, is all about behavior, okay? How much you spend is all in your control. Absolutely. So you have to control your outgoings, because outgoings is theoretically more important than your incomings. If you are not maxing out your 401k, then you need to stop outgoings and put them into your 401k. Once you are maxing out your 401k, okay, now you start to get a pass to some more dining out, some more elaborate travel or whatever. But what it comes down to is simplify your life so that you do not have outgoings that overwhelm your potential for saving and investing.
Okay, it's not off topic, Don, because I love this. Here's an analogy that I think about is it's like your New Year's resolution of wanting to lose weight. You start working out every day, you're going hard, but you're eating a large pizza, drinking a liter of Mountain Dew, and you're wondering why you can't make any progress. You have to work out, and you also have to make sure that you're changing your behavior when it comes to the food that you're intaking. It's the same exact thing with your finances. You have to set yourself up for success for your contributions and your retirement accounts and your investment accounts, but you also have to control your expenses, as you said. And I talk about this a lot on my show with my listeners, that budgeting really is the key to financial success. Create a spending plan that supports your short-term goals and needs and wants, because we need to spend some money and enjoy our life, but make sure it also supports your long-term goals. So you don't look back 10 years from now and say, I wish I had done more.
Right. I actually have a motto, 5 years from now, FYFN. And that is, every decision that you make, whether it's outgoing or incoming, should be 5 years from now. If you're 5 years from now, tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, do you really need that coat? Well, no, I have 4 at home, and that one is a different color. You're 5 years from now is going to look at that coat and be like, you idiot. Why did you do that?
Exactly. You could have shaved some time off of the, the mandatory work schedule. So,
right.
You think about every purchase that you make. This is something that I had read when you're talking about the psychology behind finances and the money decisions that we make. Think about it like this. Every purchase that you make, instead of looking at the amount of money that it costs, equate that to the amount of time you have to work in order to buy that item. So if you're wanting to buy a new car, for example, how many hours of work in your life are you exchanging for that new vehicle? Is that vehicle worth 3 years of your life, for example? Is it worth it? And when you put time value on purchases that you make, it gives you a whole new perspective.
And as well, when you put time value on your input. So for instance, instead of going out to eat, if you are at home and you make yourself a beautiful organic meal and it tastes awesome, and that meal would have cost, call it $40 somewhere else, okay, pay yourself. Okay, put that in your bank of, hey, I made $30 today by eating at home. I made that money. Oh, and by the way, that's tax-free money. That's actual cash in your pocket money, real deal. So always look at the way that you are spending your time, your money, because that is, all things considered, more important. The 401k, investing, all of these other things, again, that's only 13% of your net worth. And yet that's all we spend all of our time thinking about. When in fact, let's talk about the 87%. Let's talk about home cooked meals. Let's talk about doing your own projects at home. Don't call a plumber. Snake the darn sink yourself. You pay yourself $80 for doing that.
You can YouTube anything, guys.
Oh,
you can figure it out.
Dr. YouTube will teach you just about anything.
Absolutely. We're all, experts at every subject matter. But truly, we do live in a day and age where we do have that benefit of being able to figure out how to do a lot of stuff. And we're resourceful and a resilient generation, and being able to, identify the behaviors that it takes to be able to put yourself in a better position. Things like cooking at home. How much money did you save? What was the difference from the supplies and cooking it at home? It cost you $10 versus $40 going out to a restaurant. Immediately transfer that $30 over. You are setting yourself up to be successful. And again, it comes back to the behaviors. That's what this episode is all about, is what behaviors support your financial independence and ultimate success.
Absolutely.
Well, Don, I could go on and on. You are such an expert, but for the sake of time, tell the listeners where you can be found. If they want to ask some additional questions or read about you more, where can they find you?
Sure. LinkedIn is the best. And actually, I got lucky. I got the LinkedIn /in financial advisor. I
saw that.
Which is pretty cool.
Jealous. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember it was like the second day that LinkedIn said, "Hey, you can create your own name at the end of it." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm a financial advisor. I should do that." And sure enough, I got it. And my buddy sent me a message literally an hour later and said, "Nice snag, dude."
Yeah, you can probably sell that for some good cash. So add that to the assets on the balance sheet, right. Having financial advisor on LinkedIn. So guys, you can go to LinkedIn, search financial advisor. You're going to find Don. Don has so many notches under his belt when it comes to the financial industry, so much experience. And again, today, I hope that this episode really helped inspire you to think and reflect on your own behaviors when it comes to your money and the way that you process how you spend your money versus saving your money and setting yourself up for success. There's safeguards you can put in place and behaviors that you can, make small changes now to support long-term big results. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.